Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon of the Chabad House of Delmar, together with my co-host Mark Ronich of statewide news service, jbiztechvalley.com, and as you can see here, columnist for the Jewish press.
Right, and I'm having a lot of fun doing all those assignments, and I talk about how government relates to the Jewish community, or doesn't, as the case may be. And talking of government, we have with us a very special guest, one of my favorite new Common Council members, Mark Robinson. Welcome to the Jewish View.
Welcome.
Mark,
Thank you.
You represent Arbor Hill and
West Hill, West End.
Hill,
Yes.
West End.
The Fifth Ward, City
Right.
of Albany.
So, you're in your first term?
First term
So how is it going? Is it the dream? Is it what you thought it was going to be?
is my dream. It is my dream because all my life I think I was built for this. I always felt that I was one to do for my community in any way possible to uplift my community. And sitting in the seat of city politics right now, I'm able to fight for impoverished community. It's an uphill battle.
Well, what are the issues that you feel that are important to work on now?
First of all, it's sad in that we have developers that come into our community that get millions of dollars of tax breaks and tax incentives, but they don't come and they don't have a sit down with the community and ask the community what their needs are. And I think that is an issue. For so too long, you have outsiders coming in and building in community in impoverished communities, but yet and still you have people who live in the communities who live from bottles and cans and soup kitchens and also food pantries. I think that community benefits agreements should be in place whenever you have major developers coming into impoverished communities or any community and putting on and getting millions and millions of dollars of tax breaks and tax incentives without giving anything back.
But doesn't it bring up a community? I mean, you have new housing, so it gives it a little more vitality in the community. And
Well, where are these developers? I mean, what are they developing? I don't see really anything really developing except maybe some pockets maybe on Livingston or something.
Yeah, I guess, it was with the corner office, with the new initiative that they put with Rezone Albany, a certain census tracts that they deem great for development, and that's the impact downtown Albany, and it's along the borderlines of the 3rd and 4th Ward. They have not yet to make it into the 5th Ward, but, they're coming.
Well, let me ask you about because the area you represent one of the most impoverished areas in the city.
The most impoverished.
The most impoverished area. Isn't there a time when you just sort of do what they did in the Albany Met area? You just simply bulldoze the houses down and then you build something fresh and new, and that might revitalize the community. I'm just asking.
Well, hopefully,
I'm just asking.
In the Park South neighborhood, sure is a major reconstruction going on in that area. There was a lot of people displaced. There was a lot of promises made to the neighborhood associations and stakeholders in that community. And I hear
are they disappointed?
I hear concerns that I believe that it was $5 million that was allocated to the Park South Neighborhood Association. To the day, the Park South Neighborhood Association was not allowed to touch any of that money, and they have, and it was a promise. It was nothing binding. The developers to this day have took I think 60% of that money and put into the Albany Park Playhouse just to have their name on it. And the residents over there is very frustrated. They're very frustrated because they feel they've been fed false promises. And that's another reason why I feel that
you got to get it in writing.
You have to get it in writing. I have legislation on the floor right now, having all developers at different tiers of development that come into our city enter into community benefits agreements with the host communities where they choose the development.
Is it bottled up in committee?
Anything that the councilman, I guess maybe is the first term council, being a first term council person, or I guess our guest is from a council person who have not should I say welcomed the corner office agenda, whereas that don't get me wrong, I believe in being a team player, but I have to stand for what's right. And you know, and when I feel an injustice is being done, regardless of who may be guilty of it, I have to speak out against that injustice. You know, and I feel like the corner office have made a lot of promises during the campaign that they are not living up to. To the day, the Fifth Ward have never had a true vision and plan. We have never had, you know, no major development, you know, come into my community since the Henry Johnson corridor under Aaron Dare. And you know, it's just that we are a suffering community, and you know, only thing we ask to do is be a part. I believe right now that the Fifth Ward is in a line of fire for major development. Downtown has taken his you know, through housing, through Albany housing development, you know, and their massive housing spree that took place along the South End. I believe that the South End residents is saying no more. So, you know, they have the eye on the West End.
The South End, you're talking about Pearl Street?
Pearl Street, all along Green Street area. Anywhere Albany Housing have built. You know, Albany Housing can find a way to, you know, put a house in between two houses. And, you know, there's a lot of housing complex in the South End. You know, and I know my colleague, Vivian Carnegie, you know, she's just frustrated to the point where, you know, 65% if not greater of her constituents live in the housing projects.
Can they have low-income housing? I mean, I said that, I mean, I know you're in Albany, but Mark and I have so many politicians throughout New York State and even in Brooklyn, which is a little bit the same situation. You know, you have to have $1 million. Well, how many people have $1 million? But, you know, to buy a house, this is, you know, there's people that, you know, who has $1 million, let alone a decent salary. And, you know, and I pushed them to ask for, well, why don't you, you know, these
Right.
government officials get some decent housing, but low-income housing.
I mean, I guess right now low-income housing is not on the radar of the developers that's coming in and building housing stock in the city of Albany at this time.
Yeah, but they're not building any housing in your district.
Not at all, not at all.
And so isn't the onus to some extent on you to go out and to reach out to those developers and bring them in to basically redevelop certain crime-ridden blocks so that you don't have this problem?
I champion for my community on a daily. I believe that.
No doubt. I don't doubt that.
I believe that, you know, the community of the Fifth Ward is development friendly, but I don't think the developers is community friendly. Again, you know, like I say, I believe that, you know, in the very near future, that they're gonna invade the Fifth Ward, you know, like it's from another planet. You know, I believe that the bulldozers is just gonna land and just start, I mean, without even sitting down at the table, without even bringing the community to the table,
Right.
and say, listen, you know, we understand that this is a community in need,
But
you know, and how can we be, you know, good neighbors and good partners and help a community rise?
But if you get a developer out of New Jersey or the lower part of New York State to come in and buy these homes from people, I mean, because the homes in your district can be picked up for $40,000, $60,000, right? I mean,
Right
I've
now,
seen-
right now,
And I've been in
it's-
some of the homes. and
What,
it's
what,
just
what we call
trash.
prime real estate is any time that you can come in and you can get real estate for little or nothing. And right now,
You
the city
can.
of Albany is
No,
giving
no,
away
your
the,
district.
right, they're giving away because they're trying to find developers to come into impoverished neighborhoods and take a risk where nobody else would want to take a risk.
Right.
So
So isn't
Livingston,
that
what areas again? Just maybe define for
Judson,
Judson,
Lexington.
Lexington, First
Livingston.
Street, Second Street, Livingston Avenue, Clinton Avenue corridor. Yes, anywhere from North Swan Street to Waterville Avenue between Clinton Avenue and Livingston School. You're absolutely correct. And the poverty rate, the unemployment rate is at an all-time
I
high.
have to tell you a funny story, or ironic story. I was working back in '97 to '99. I was working for the Albany County Republican Committee. And I got a candidate to run for county legislature in the Fifth Ward. And I went around with him to collect signatures. And we would find Republicans in the Fifth Ward. And we'd knock on the door, we'd go downstairs, they'd be smoking, or they'd be taking some drugs or whatever. They go, man, what are you doing here? We didn't think any Republicans ran in this district. That's why we enrolled as Republicans, so we wouldn't be bothered. And he said, well, we just want your signature. We don't want to bother you. We just want your signature. So they signed, and they got us out of there, but man, it was, you got Republicans there just because they don't want to be bothered by the Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, as for myself, it was an uphill battle for myself when I ran. The people spoke. I won the primary. But the powers that be, Mayor Sheehan and her cohorts decided to mount a campaign against me going into the general election. And,
What, a Republican against a Democrat?
No, it was my Democratic challenger who I beat in the primary. He came back and he ran against me as a write-in ticket, in the general election. But the community of the Fifth Ward spoke up.
Yeah.
They was like, no, we chose this man to be our voice, and they came out in droves, supported me in the general election, and I swept them.
So the fact that Mayor Sheehan did this to you, in your words, do you think that you're not an ally for her? You're not, you're one of the anti-Sheehan forces in the Common Council?
Well, again, in politics, there's winners and there's losers. And it was nothing personal. I did not, have a grudge against. It wasn't personal from my angle, because I'm one to, move on for the greater good of my community. Yeah. And I did everything during my first year to try to be, on a winning team, so to say.
But through Richard Conte or some of the other members of the council, are they trying to thwart you so that you can't claim any victories when you run for re-election? Oh,
I mean, listen, the people spoke, and they will speak again.
Right.
I believe in, just like any first term, politician, it's really hard, to get laws across and get them passed and get them.
You made peace with the mayor.
I have conversations with her. Like I say, she ran on a lot of campaign promises. And to the day, she have not delivered in my community. My community is as worse as it have it ever been. But if you ask her, she said her response would be that the councilman, refused to work with her. That the councilman, is not, developers friendly. But how can I be developer friendly when, first of all, you're giving away the land and you're giving away the housing stock for free of charge? Okay, and on top of that, you're giving them all these tax incentives and tax breaks. But because I asked for community benefits agreements to be in place for first source hiring, for monies to be put aside for after school programs, which we have none. When I was growing up, we had all type of programs. Yeah. Albany Boys Club, Albany Girls Club, the CY.
But that's a school board thing. That's not her.
No.
That's her?
No.
That's her budget?
Through Parks and Recreations, that is her budget.
Parks and Recreation, okay.
The school board is totally different when they deal with after school programs.
Right.
But right now we have the Arbor Hill Community Center in the Fifth Ward. And going on 3 budgets, have no money's been put aside, and any budget that I voted for, that no money has been allocated to the Fifth Ward.
Well, now you got to vote against the budget.
That's listen. I'm voting against the budget because the budget is unbalanced.
Right.
That the budget don't consist of anything that's concrete that's going to bring us out of this $18.5 million deficit.
Would you be in favor of the mayor having a 1-year, one-time tax that was a separate line in the budget, like Paula Mahan did in the town of Colony?
Yes, because at this point, she has to have some type of way to, because she's creative with doing fines and fees. Look at her newly created trash tax. And it hurt communities of color. I'm really saddened about, the 3 votes that, we lost on the repeal with my colleague Judge Crasher had put in front of the floor, and them 3 votes came from the impoverished communities. The communities that's going to be affected, by this trash tax. And it's only because, they are her allies, so they're going to vote the way that she wants to vote.
What did you do before you were common council?
I was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did 6.5 years in prison.
Which prison?
I was in a federal prison for marijuana cultivation
Yeah,
and
but
distribution.
Where was it?
I started out in Allen. I started out in Fairton. Then I went from Fairton to where are we at? We went to. I mean, you know, one thing about the federal government, they'll ship you around the country. And you don't know where you at.
Okay, so here most elected officials are elected first, then go to prison. You went to prison first, and then you became an elected official.
You're going
So
up.
you got it out of your system.
Yeah, so that's, you know, I mean, but
Isn't there something about you own property or something also?
oh yeah, I'm a developer. Yes, I own real estate.
Okay.
Yes, I own real estate.
So you
at this
said,
point.
and you set the example about being good with the community. I mean, you're showing the way as a developer?
Oh yes, I mean, I give several town hall meetings to how to own your own home in your own community for $1 or less. Because like I say, the city right now is giving our precious land and housing stock away to speculators and out-of-towners and developers.
Right. So I
through the
guess-
creation of the Albany County Land Bank.
So I guess
and that's
you're-
an issue of itself. You know, that's a conversation that, you know, we need to touch base on.
I guess you are the perfect person to ask about the heroin epidemic that's going on in the city of Albany, because you're a drug dealer. What did you deal? I mean,
Marijuana.
marijuana, so you
Yes.
didn't deal with heroin.
Actually, they say
No.
now the heroin epidemic, what we said, is more in the affluent neighborhoods more than in the low-impoverished neighborhoods.
No, I
Really,
mean,
you don't
they come into our communities and they buy their goods. You know, they come into our community and they sell their guns for their goods, and it's not, is very discouraging, because when you have a struggling community,
Well, sure, you don't need this.
you don't need that.
So do you see a heroin epidemic in the Fifth Ward, or?
Well, right now, we are oversaturated with drug rehabilitation centers, and we at the heart of a fight right now with a drug rehab organization that's trying to come into the Fifth Ward and build the drug rehab.
Well-
It seems like that's the only thing that they can give our community when it comes to developers is development. Is drug rehabs, and that's not a good sight.
Okay, as far as development, I mean, you want to see businesses,
Yeah, because
they
it's
just built a dollar store. They just built a dollar
Yeah, but
store
what kind?
in South End.
Yeah, but what?
Is that
I mean,
you-
what type of look is that
Well,
when
I'm
someone
just
coming to
asking.
your community, the first thing they see is a dollar store?
Well, I shop
you
in
know
a
why?
dollar
I mean,
store.
but why couldn't they see a bank or a pharmacy? Why is it the first thing they have to see is a
Because
dollar
banks
store?
and pharmacies get held up for the money and the
So,
drugs.
I mean, listen. In order to grow a community, you have to have a community be part of the process from the beginning.
Well, CEFQ is in
So,
your district.
and you have to
on
understand, you have to understand that goods and services do grow communities.
You know,
So we do need businesses. We need businesses that we can teach our black children the economics.
Do you have Sheridan in your district?
No, that's in the third. That's Councilman
Sheridan
Ron
Avenue?
Belly. That's
Okay.
Councilman Ron Belly. I'm
Because,
on the opposite side of Clay.
Like the Hermungerman Electric is in,
Oh, he's a great partner.
but that's not your.
That's not my area,
Yeah.
but anytime that electrician need to be done, I would definitely recommend Arbor Electronic, because for the fact that they come in and they work with the community of the residents. They don't come in and they don't overprice, and any work that they do,
Arbor Electric.
oh, they are the best. They are the best. They are great community partners. They are
That's
great
good.
community partners.
And what about Christopherli Brothers?
I have not yet to establish a working relationship with them, and believe it or not, they are in the Fifth Ward.
They are.
But if they listening, I'm coming. Only because the conversation is needed.
What other,
Same thing for Freihoppers.
Freihoppers, okay. What do you see as a positive for the Fifth Ward? What is it in the Fifth Ward that is really a sparkle?
I mean, we need an employer.
No, now, currently.
Yeah,
What's
we
a
need-
sparkle? Not what you need, but
us-
what do you see now that's
Well,
really a sparkle?
what
for
I
the Fifth
see
Ward?
now, I see a community is coming together, forming a coalition, and realizing that for so long that we have been left out the equation, realizing that for so long that we have not been invited to the table. One thing about Mayor Jerry Jennings, when he backed up from the table, he did leave the crumbs. When this administration back from the table, they take the crumbs with them, and it's sad, and I don't want
Jerry
to.
Jennings and his crumbs also left a big deficit for the current mayor to deal with.
But you have to also understand, before she even ran for mayor, she was a city treasurer.
That's right.
So she had to be aware of the state of the city.
Yeah, she really did. So how do you, hold her feet to the fire to say, hey, this is what we need to do?
The only thing that I can say is, hey, when you ran your campaign, you made a lot of promises to communities, and the communities is watching, and the communities felt that you let them down.
You're in your third year of your 4-year term?
Yes, sir.
So are you looking forward? Do you hear any rumblings in the Fifth Ward for an opponent? Are you going to run again? What's your...
Oh, yeah, I would definitely run again, and I would take on all challenges because there's a lot of issues. And, for you to want to take a seat, to represent the most impoverished community in the Fifth Ward, and you have a platform, please let me know. Please let me know.
Who was your predecessor?
Jackie Jenkins Cox.
And she just didn't want to run again?
No, it was actually a four-way race, and she did run as incumbent, and I beat her also.
Wow. So what made you want to run, aside from the fact that you get a nice salary and get health benefits?
Oh, no nice salary, no nice health benefits, because believe it or not, half the salary that I do make, it goes back in the community under programs for kids,
Really?
We have a free bread drive, every other Wednesday.
And you buy the bread for
and we
free?
buy the bread for the free, yes.
And how much is the salary for a common councilman?
Oh,
It's 20-something thousand, right?
it's
in the mid-20s, right?
Yeah, it's in the mid-20s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about we always ask this question, how old are you? And
I'm 19 and growing.
Yeah, well, he's
29.
There we go. 52.
52.
Yes.
Deck of cards, right?
Yeah,
52
yes, sir.
pickup. Well, you're picking up your life. You're really starting over. When did you get out of prison?
I've been out of prison for, it has to be 12 years.
When you were 40, you got out.
Yeah.
And what were you doing between 40 and 50, 40 and 48? Well,
49. Real estate.
And
Soon I landed. See, in the federal penitentiary, they just don't do like the state. They just don't, you finish your bed, they just don't send you out into society to fend for yourself. Before you're allowed to leave the feds, you have to establish a home plan, right? And when you have that home plan, you take that home plan into your federal parole officer. But meantime, they give you a 6-month transition, okay? And within that transition, when you have your first sit down with your parole officer, you go over the home plan with them, okay? And I have not deviated from the home plan. Within my home plan, I said I was going to come and I was going to open up several clothing stores. I opened up my first clothing store in Troy. Then I came and I opened up another clothing store in Albany. That's before the market dropped. Things was good. At that point, I would take the proceeds from my clothing business and I would, I bought my first piece of real estate. And a lot of people saying, you have to be out of your mind, to purchase this, this shell and, don't have any money or resources to build it back up. But I'm a home builder by trade. Oh. So it was the labor of love and the sweat equity. And from the one house, I bought another house, I bought another house, I bought another house, I bought another house. And, and now, with the help of my family, my father, and pulling, our resources together, now I believe we have 13 homes.
That's a lot.
Hill, yes.
So we should team up with Vicki O'Brien.
So.
We have someone in the Jewish community who buys homes in Arbor Hill and tries to build them up.
Oh, please tell them, please tell them to give them my card. Tell them to call me. We can lobby the land bank together, because the Albany County Land Bank, the Albany County legislature in November, they passed a resolution doing away with all county foreclosures. Because at one time you was able to, go to the county, foreclose auction and bid on a home and buy a home. So what they did, they became creative, and they created a nonprofit entity of the Albany County legislature entitled the Albany County Land Bank. So now they did away in November with all for auctions.
Yeah.
So everything that comes under the county right now goes straight to the Albany County Land Bank.
Or
That
for-
in my eyes is considered a monopoly. You know, because everything that comes goes straight to the Albany County Land Bank. So now there's a monopoly. So now you have to go and you have to try to lobby the Albany County Land
Who
Bank.
runs the land bank?
Who runs the land bank? At this point, the sitting director is Carl Toohey.
Carl Toohey?
Yes, Carl Toohey.
Wow.
You know, so, but it's just that at now is just an injustice because 96% of these properties these foreclosed properties exist in impoverished communities, whereas the Fifth Ward being a major, housing stock for the land
Well,
bank.
you know who Carl Toohey's wife is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So, my attitude is even with the Albany County Land Bank, you have to have a community benefits agreement in place there.
Yeah.
Because 90% of your transactions
Yeah.
in your business you are doing in impoverished communities.
Yeah.
But you cannot set aside a fund to create a training program to try to train our youth to teach them to get ready for the workforce. So therefore, our crime would go down. You can come and you can carry your petitions and don't have to worry about, being assaulted, through drugs and crime. Because it takes a combination, it's a combination of things that it takes to build and rebuild community.
So let me ask you about this other problem you mentioned to me about the disproportionate vote between lower wards and upper wards.
Oh, I think,
This is another one that really gets your blood
because I believe that's why.
What's the disproportionate vote? What do you see as the problem?
85% of my constituents do not own their home. So the same household that I lobby for their vote 3 years ago, when I go to lobby for their vote next year during the re-election, they may not live there because they was renters. So therefore, the voting, we don't have a voter block. We don't have a constant.
You don't have consistency.
We don't have consistency. And, and this one thing that the corner office, they knew this when they implemented the trash tax. They knew that in the upper wards where you have single-family homes and you have 2,000 registered voters and 1,800 of them 2,000 registered voters come out and vote during primaries, compared to the lower wards where you have lower turnout. So this is why they say, hey, listen, we're gonna exempt one-family homes and put the trash tax on multi-unit homes.
Okay, but so that was the disproportionate vote is not in like a general election or anything like that. It's a vote in the council you're talking about.
It's just a vote. It's just a vote citywide, countywide.
Well, you just got to get your people out to vote. I mean, look at what was going on with the presidential election, and how many people turn out for the excitement of the presidential election.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, though. When you say get your people, it's easy to get somebody to register to vote. But when it's time to get out to vote, just because you register somebody to vote, in communities of color, sometimes you got to go and you got to take their hand, and you got to walk them to the polls.
That's right.
And not only at once, you got to teach them that it's not only major elections that you have to vote.
I did
You have to vote on.
I did in your ward. I did GLTV, get out the vote. I understand that you have to go and grab them by the hand and actually, drive them and
because
pick
that's the
them up.
only thing that
They promise and promise and then they don't follow through. It must be something with maybe the mayor also has an effect because she promises and promises and doesn't do anything. So maybe the voters are like that too.
It's a shame. Within the county executives race that just passed, Dan McCoy, he's a personal friend of mine.
Oh,
And
really?
it was so strange that he didn't come to the Fifth Ward and campaign.
He didn't have an opponent, did he?
Still, you have constituents that speak to me on a daily basis and ask me why and where, is the county executive. So just out of respect, during the campaign, rather you have a opponent. He did have an opponent, though, Dan Egan.
Oh, Dan Egan, the primary.
Yeah, he did. You know,
But
he
they
did.
had this guy Vitullo from
Yeah,
Queens.
no, but I'm just saying, you know,
Okay.
even during the primary, he did have
Did
a.
Dan
he
Egan
did.
come?
He did have a. Dan Egan didn't even reach out to the Fifth
Okay.
Ward. You know? And
Well-
why though? You know why?
Maybe if you had a large group at the Arbor Hill Community Center as like a rally for Dan McCoy, let's say, or for some candidate, that candidate would then gravitate and show up.
My concern, right, and my frustration is, you know, being an elected official, okay, of Improvis community, my constituents is asking, you know, where's the county executive at? Okay,
Who's your county legislator?
I have Norma Chapman right now with the redistricting,
Uh-huh.
you know.
So you have one
Yeah.
county legislator
When I
that
have-
represents the fifth.
No, we have a combination of three.
Three.
You know, we have Mert Simpson and we have newly elected Wanda Willingham.
Well, then why don't those three get on Dan McCoy to say, hey, you're ignoring,
Yeah, I guess after they watch the show, they may go on to
Good
because
suggestion.
you have to understand the community is watching. You know, just like on a national level. You have these young, energetic voters who just tired of the status quo, the establishment.
right?
You know, you have people that sit in chairs and you know what is called just bobbleheads and you know just
That's
up and
right.
down, up and down, up and down.
In the county legislature.
And not in city council.
And city council also.
In city council. You know,
Well, you got to tip one or two more seats to be anti-establishment.
And I tell my colleagues, you know, that represent these Improvis communities, you know, the community is watching,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm going to be the one that go back and tell the community, you know, I'm going to be that one that snitch, you know, because you are entitled, you know, you have a right to represent a community of constituents. You know, and any time that a community, you have public comment, and you have over 200 people get in front of public comment and say this trash tax is just not right, you know what I'm saying, and it's still passed by a margin of 3 votes. And them 3 votes come from the communities of color that's going to be affected the most by this trash tax. And they sold us $15 a month, you know, but here it is, they tell us that we have to pay, you know, a year, $180 a year by July. And if you don't pay that by July, you have a $50 late
Penalty,
fee.
yeah.
And if you don't pay that by October, you have another $100 late fee. So it's not the $185 that they sold at $15 a month. You know, it's the fines and fees and late fees that's going to add up. And best to believe that speculators or landlords that don't have a stake or don't care about Improvis community, they are not going to eat that cost. You know, they're going to put it on to the renter. You know, unlike myself, I do my own sweat equity. I know how to, go to Home Depot and get damaged sheetrock and lumber at 70% off. I do my work myself. I receive most of my properties from the county for little or nothing because didn't nobody want to come and invest in my community. Okay, and I just, I go in and I put my, from sun up to sundown, me and my family go in there, we put our labor and love in there. So therefore, we don't have the high cost of maintaining these buildings as other landlords might have. So therefore, we can keep our rents, at a moderate rate. You know what I'm saying? Whereas that our tenants can, won't be harmed by the trash tax. But when you have, other landlords that, live in New Jersey, downstate New York, and it's all about capital, they're not going to eat that cost. Okay. It's going to go to the
Listen, we're out of time. It's very interesting that you came on showing our viewers, what's happening in the Fifth Ward, and looks like you're doing good work for the people of the Fifth Ward, and keep it up and do it with good health.
Hey, I thank you so much. I thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you both.